What's up, peeps? Julian Williams here at the distance. Got another video for you guys this afternoon. This fight here is Harold Bennett versus Edwin Rosario. Fight from way back. I'm just sitting back looking at some old boxing matches while I'm making videos. So this video is going to be what's next for Chad Dawson. As we all know, Chad Dawson was knocked out one round by Adonis Stevenson, losing his light heavyweight championship. And I will admit, I was shocked to see the fight end that early. But I was shocked to see it, but on the other hand, watching boxing for years, it does not surprise me. One thing I could say about Chad Dawson is throughout his career, he's had no stability, no homeostasis with whoever is on his team. And I'm waiting for this screen to go to the next page here, because all you see is white. But over the years, Chad's had quite a few trainers. He's had Floyd Mayweather Sr., he's had Iceman John Scully a couple times. He's had Eddie Mustafa Muhammad a couple times. Emmanuel Stewart for a fight. He just does not have any stability, with his career. I was at work, and we were discussing a few things at work, and this one girl got into the conversation, and she is the daughter of Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, who's kind of, of course, I understand you're going to have bias towards your father if you're a child, of course. And basically it was about Chad Dawson's training that came to focus. I honestly thought that he should have stayed with Iceman John Scully. That's just my opinion. I know that we all are going to have our opinions on who should be Chad Dawson's trainer. But personally, I would have went with Iceman John Scully. If you ask me, he's a man, he knows the sport. He knows the sport very well. He knows Chad. He never won a major championship, but he's one of those men that's always around boxing. You could tell he just loves the sport. He loves training. He just overall loves what he does. I've spoken to him a couple of times. You can just tell that he just loves the sport of boxing. Now, on the other hand, you have basically, the points that were outlined to me were generic points, coming from, somebody who obviously, is a fan of their father. Of course, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad was a great champion in a great era. Back when he was Ed Gregory, all the way to, his conversion to Islam with Dwight Cowie or Dwight Brax or Matthew Saad Muhammad. He was a good champion. But some of the generic, things that were pointed out to me, of course, was he was a champion back in the day, and he fought, 15-round fights. Even though you fought 15-round fights and you were a champion, does not mean that you're qualified to be a trainer. No matter how great of a fighter you were, and also no matter how bad of a fighter you were, doesn't mean that you're qualified to be a trainer. I've seen some trainers that were exceptional world champions that were kind of as trainers. So the thing is that I think, look at it this way. Freddie Roach was a punching bag, was a heavy bag. Now, he's a well-renowned trainer. On the other hand, Robert Garcia was a good fighter back, as a featherweight, but he's a good trainer, even though none of his fighters can make the weight. You can hear he gives good advice in the corner. So just because of my thing is, just because of your credentials doesn't mean that you are the most qualified for a certain spot, in the sport. That's just my opinion. I'm sure that a lot of people may agree and a lot may disagree. But going back to Chad Dawson, I honestly think that the problem is that he goes from team to team very quickly. He doesn't, establish much of a relationship with whoever is training him. And also, he seems to be kind of hard headed in certain fights. You could see, at the time where it appears that he peaked, 2009, you could tell he would get kind of bored with fights. He would get bored. He get hit easily. Things of that nature. But quite honestly, I think when it comes to Chad Dawson, he's gonna have to go back from scratch. That's the only. I mean, he defeated Bernard Hopkins like a year ago. He beat Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins came back and he won another belt against the Voice Cloud. What Chad Dawson needs to do is he needs to go back to the drawing board. He needs to. He needs to hire a trainer. A permanent trainer, not one of these little temporary, trainers. He needs to hire an actual trainer that he knows is going to bring him to that's going to bring him to prominence. I'm not a fighter. I'm not a boxer. But if I was a boxer, and I'm only using this hypothetically, if I was a boxer and I had a boxing match, I would want to come out with more knowledge of how to use that later on in my career, in case I'm in a certain scenario, so I can use it to better myself and become a more complete fighter. And Chad doesn't have that mentality. I know he had some management issues, but he just doesn't. He just does not have that mentality. He has the gifts to be a future Hall of Famer from a physical standpoint. He's athletic. He's tall. He has quick hands. He's a southpaw. He has a decent amateur pedigree. He just overall raw athleticism. But he needs a permanent trainer. You're not going. If you're consistently, changing trainers, you're not going to have that homeostasis that you need for your career. You're just not. And that's what a fighter needs. A fighter can't bounce from trainer to trainer. He had perhaps the greatest trainer of all time in his corner, Emmanuel Stewart. I understand that it does not always work out between fighters and trainers, but you can't go from trainer to trainer, and have this revolving circle. That's just it. And I've stated a lot of times, Chad Dawson is one of my favorite fighters. To see him get knocked out like that was, like I said, shocking but not surprising. So, who knows? Like I said, I think that, cruiserweight may be too big for him. He couldn't, he doesn't have the best chin at 175. But I would, kind of go the Tommy Morrison route with him. I would keep him busy. I would keep him active. I would get his confidence up, and basically see, if you can get a rematch with Stevenson. Another fight. Another tough and rugged fighter. See if you can get a fight with Stevenson. Possibly another fight with Ward. But I think that you just have to keep the man busy. Give him a permanent trainer, and just go from there. Go back to square one. Go back to the drawing board and evaluate your reasons for being a boxer. Why be in the sport if you're consistently changing? Trainers, you can't just bounce around from trainer to trainer. You have to have somebody that you can work with very well. All right. Well, anyway, peeps, I'm out of here. That's the distance, and thanks for watching. Peace.